Hey, 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 it is an unstoppable day. It's your boy, Terrence, the Unstoppable Coach Lethbridge, with another episode of the Unstoppable Story Show. And if you are watching, if you know, it's a Tuesday night. And if it's Tuesday night, it's gotta be the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrence Lethbridge. Come on in, swipe and share. Let your friends know that quality programming is back on again for a Tuesday night with the Unstoppable Story Show. How you guys doing, Facebook family? Doing good? Doing good? Great. And all you guys who are going to be watching this on the replay on my YouTube channel and all my other social media, welcome in to another episode of the Unstoppable Story Show, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. I'm your host, Terrence Lethbridge, accountability coach, Unstoppable Coaching Services, where we help you create your vision, implement your vision, but more importantly, we hold you accountable to living the life you were created to live. And how do we do that? Well, this is one of the ways we do it, through this platform where we are showing you other people from across the world, not just across the country, not just across the state, not just across the city, but around the world. Ordinary people, just like you and me, that are doing their best to move from being unstuck to being unstoppable. And then we bring them on to share their unstoppable story with you so that you will know that if they can do it, then, well, maybe, just maybe, you can do it too. So come on in. We look forward to seeing you. We look forward to sharing some this time with you. It's June, y'all. So June, typically on the Unstoppable Story Show, is the month where we celebrate family, all forms of family. We celebrate relationships. We celebrate marriage. We celebrate children. We celebrate mothers. We did most of that in May, but this month we definitely are celebrating fathers. And it's the one thing that I know, that if you want to live an unstoppable life, you got to start by having some unbreakable relationships. You got to start by having some relationships that build the foundation for your life. It's that the relationships are the things that build you up, that put the roots into the ground, that allow your tree of life to blossom up and withstand the storms of life. Because we know that in this life, there's going to be times where you're going to be hit with storms. There's going to be times where you're going to be hit with transitions. There's going to be times where you're going to be hit with trials and tribulations. And it's during those times you want to have those relationships that you can build upon. You want to have those relationships that you can rely on. You want to have that somebody or somebodies that are going to be in your corner when your tree of life starts to sway and starts to bend. And you know that that foundation of those relationships, they are going to be there to hold you up, to support you so that you don't break and that you continue to live the life that God created you to live. So I'm excited about the show tonight. But before we do that, I want to get to some housekeeping. I want to let you know about this great event that Unstoppable Coaching Services and Unstoppable Publishing is so proud to be a part of. And it's this new book that is coming out in just a couple of weeks. It is the phenomenal book launch of the book, When Warriors Talk. When Warriors Talk, God Listens. This is a phenomenal book by one of the former authors of my book, You Are Unstoppable. Just last year, our curator, Lady Rochelle Matheny, was in my book, You Are Unstoppable, Moving from Past to Purpose. And just a little over 1 year later, 12 months later, she has not only been an author in my book, now she has found 5 other phenomenal women, and she has curated her own book called When Warriors Talk, God Listens. And it is a phenomenal anthology of cancer survivors telling their story of surviving, co-surviving, and thriving in the face of dealing with such a gut-wrenching, heartbreaking disease known as cancer. In spite of that, all that they have gone through fighting the little c, because we don't give this big C any credit, any credence, but in everything they've gone through fighting the little c, they have come through in spades, and they are thriving and surviving, and they are ready to tell their story. And we want you to be a part of the book launch coming up June 22nd here in Chicago. Go on over to bit.ly/When Warriors Talk, bit.ly/When Warriors Talk, and you can be a part of this celebration of this phenomenal event that is taking place. And I'm telling you, these stories, they're gonna make you cry. Some of these stories are going to make you laugh, but more importantly, these stories are going to hopefully move you from awareness into action, as Lady Rochelle likes to say, from awareness into action, so that if you know someone who's going through this battle, this journey with the little c, or maybe it's you yourself that's going through this journey, maybe you'll be uplifted. Maybe you'll have a little bit more motivation, a little bit more encouragement to go through your battle, or to help somebody you know go through their battle. So why don't you go on over to bit.ly/When Warriors Talk and get your tickets today. The tickets are very, very economical, and you're going to get fed. Your soul is going to get fed, your belly is going to get fed, and your mind is going to get fed at this phenomenal event on June 22nd. So go on over to bit.ly/When Warriors Talk and go ahead and get your ticket. And you can also sign up for their VIP package, where you can get a signed copy of the book from all of the authors that are in this book. So we hope you'll see you there on June 22nd for When Warriors Talk, God Listens, the official book launch. All right. So, hey, thank you guys for working with me on that. We are looking forward to getting started with this phenomenal show tonight. So let's go on and talk about relationships. This brother that we are about to bring on to the show is a relationship expert. He is also known as the Love Alchemist. He is setting the world on fire, talking about relationships. And he can talk about it because he's been in a relationship with his lovely wife, Desiree, for over 29 years, y'all. 29 years. And he'll be the first to tell you that the 29 years have had their highs, had their lows, had their ups, but had their downs. But what that 29 years has also brought consistency, and it's brought growth together as a couple and individually. And that's what makes for a good relationship. And out of that relationship has also spawned children. And he's going to talk a little bit about fatherhood from a man's perspective. So without further ado, I want to welcome to the show my BBS brother from the beautiful state of Georgia, the lovely town of Savannah. Let's welcome to the broadcast my man, Mr. Vaughn Jackson. Hey, Vaughn, mic check, 1 2 1 2.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. How are you, sir?
I'm well, brother. I'm well. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm unstoppable. You know what the tagline says.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on and bless us here on the show this evening. I appreciate you for coming in, and just want to give the audience an opportunity to get to know you, get to know what you do, and get to know your unstoppable story. So let's start with this. Why don't we start out just by, Vaughn, giving you a couple of seconds to introduce yourself to the Unstoppable Stories audience, and then we will jump into our conversation for the evening, okay?
All right. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me on your platform. I really appreciate it. Um,
Absolutely.
as you said, I've been with my wife for quite a while. We're coming up on 29 years of marriage this December. We met back when I was 12 years old at the playground. We began dating not too long after that, and got married immediately after high school. And 4 children, 5 grandchildren later, here we are, and I'm on the show with you, sharing my unstoppable story with the world. So, in a nutshell, I'm a father, a husband, an author, a coach. Um, the list goes on, man. I do what I can.
Yeah, you're a man. You're a man of many talents. So that's good to know. And so let me ask you this, because this is the question that we ask each and every one of our guests when we come on to the Unstoppable Story Show. Simple question. So let's start by asking you, Vaun, what does it mean to you when you hear the word unstoppable?
Mm. You know, when I hear the word unstoppable, I think about the way I approach really anything that I'm challenged with or confronted with. I don't stop until I win. It's not over until I win. And that's literally my motto, and that's what unstoppable means to me.
Wow, I love it. It's not over till it's win, till you win. So in the realm of relationships, th- that's an interesting thing. You don't stop until you win. But many relationships, it's hard to stay in the game. It's hard to stay in the race in order to win. And you have been in this race, this relationship, for over 29 years. So first and foremost, I got to say congratulations to you. But let's roll the clock back and let's talk about your unstoppable story and what brought you to this point where now you're not only living your relationship, but you're sharing your relationship, talking about your relationship, and helping other people form relationships in their lives as well. What got you started on this road towards being the relationship expert?
You know, if I could just go back a little bit, I mean, within the context of fatherhood, and we talk about how critically important fathers are to the lives of their children. And a father is essentially, especially for a boy, let's just deal with young males for a minute. A father is essentially the GPS or roadmap to a young male's life. He paints a picture for that boy of what's possible, what he can become. And my GPS was taken from me when I was 11 years old. My father was murdered.
Mm.
And so, and it was painful, but thankfully I had a next door neighbor who was my best friend, and his father would let me come along with them. They would take us bike riding to the parks. He would take me to the drive-in with them, but I couldn't always go. And so sometimes I would have to just look out my window and watch my best friend and his father going wherever they were going without me. And so, like I said, that was painful. And I knew that at a very young age that whatever happened in my life, to the best of my ability, I would never leave my children fatherless. And so fast forward, my wife and I began dating, and she got pregnant when I was 16. And I knew right then that that was going to be my wife. And so that's why we got married immediately after graduating high school. And it helped that I was crazy about her anyway. So that was a bonus. But what really got me started was when I joined the Navy right after graduating high school. And I saw so many of my fellow sailors struggling in their relationships. And I didn't have some of the challenges that they were faced with. And as time went on, 5 years into my marriage, 10 years into my marriage, I mean, we had our challenges, but people would, my fellow sailors would come up to me and they would ask me, man, how do you do it? How are you guys still married after 10 years and 15 years and you still look happy? And so inevitably I would end up helping a lot of them through their challenges. But my wife and I were going through one particular challenge, and it was really, really hard because I've always been hard-headed. And so I talked to an elder, and I was just kind of sharing some of my trials with her. And I swore I was right. My wife swore she was right. And we were walking around this particular time 7 whole days without speaking to each other. 7 whole days in the same. Now, she was still doing the things that she felt like she was supposed to do. I mean, dinner was always ready when I came home from work. And I still made sure she had whatever she had. But we weren't talking at all. And I was talking to this elder, and she said to me, she said, Vaun, do you want to be right or do you want to be married?
So you got that one too, huh?
Oh, man, it was so profound, man. And I felt like I could never repay her for what that statement, what that question did for me. It was like a light bulb came on. And so since I couldn't pay her back, I feel like it's my obligation to pay it forward. And so as much as I possibly can, I share with whoever's willing to listen, whatever insights that I can offer to their relationship to help strengthen their relationship. And so that's essentially how I got on the path that I'm on.
Oh, love it. We're talking to Vaun Jackson. He is the Love Alchemist, relationship expert, and author here on the Unstoppable Story Show. Feel free to chime in with any comments or any questions that you might have for him as we talk about relationships on the Unstoppable Story Show. And, you know, we have something in common. You lost your dad at an early age, and I never even got a chance to meet my dad. Where I have a recollection of it, because my dad died before I was a year old. So and the only recollection that I have of my dad is a picture that hangs out in my my man cave that my uncle drew for me. And so to not grow up with a father figure, with a father in the house, I thank God for my mom and my family that's always surrounded me with father figures. So I, like you, had those moments where I was looking out the window and looking at other fathers doing things with their sons and wishing that it was me, but always thankful that my mom created relationships with other men, not necessarily relationships of her own, but relationships where we could be mentored and we could be around father figures to still get that guidance and still to get that thing that only a man could get from another man in as they were growing up. So I understand that. So with this, going into the Navy after being married, talking to these other guys, and they were in awe of your relationship. What kind of things were you seeing them deal with in their relationships that you were able to help them with?
You know, one thing, when I was younger, I always heard people, what the older men would always tell me: never argue with a woman. Never, ever argue with a woman. And that never made sense to me, because I always felt like if we had something to argue about, that, you know, she's going to stand her ground, and surely I'm going to stand my ground. And so it never made sense to me that they just dropped that little nugget off and never gave me an explanation as to why. And so, you know, I'm a why. I have to know why. That's just how I'm wired. And so, so I've been able to shed light with guys on. That's one major key element in relationships, where you find yourself in heated arguments with your woman. And the thing about a heated argument, I'll go ahead and share that with you now, with the audience now. The main reason that a man should never get into a heated argument with his woman, to the best of your ability, is not because she's beneath you or anything like that. But if you consider the idea that a woman looks for freedom of expression, and in that freedom of expression, she wants to be able to freely express her emotions, and sometimes that comes with, you know, whatever energy it might be accompanied by. But that's a feminine expression, and sometimes that feminine expression turns, you know, it can get a little bit heated or a little bit overly excited. Well, a man looks to control his emotions. So she's looking for freedom to express her emotions, and we're looking for control of our emotions. And so in that freedom of expression, that is feminine energy. So the argument itself is feminine energy. And one thing that we as masculine men can never do is we cannot out feminine our women.
Absolutely,
So it,
absolutely not. Yeah,
yeah,
yes.
so it's in our best interest to bring that thing back down to the best of our ability and try to keep it on a level where we can, as much as practical, calmly discuss, or at least, dismiss the conversation for an opportunity to discuss it more calmly later on.
Yeah. And to surmise what you just said in a nutshell, happy wife, happy life.
I hear that statement all the time, man, and men deserve to be happy too, man.
Absolutely. And I was about to throw the flip side out there. But
Yeah,
that is what we hear a lot. That is the what I would say not as necessarily the misconception, but the thing that is overplayed. And this is June, and this is Father's Day. We're coming up on Father's Day
yeah.
weekend, and so we're gonna give some love to the brothers, to the men who are doing it, and who are holding it up on a daily basis in these relationships. So it's not just only happy wife, happy life, but how do you talk about to the couples that you talk to? How do you talk about that flip side? That it's also important that the man in the relationship is happy, respected, acknowledged, supported, and all the other adjectives that we could throw out if we had more time to talk about it. How do you bring that home to your couples that you talk to?
Well, I mean, we're looking for. Here's the thing. There is no such thing as. I have this on my website. I have this mantra where I say, "I am because we are," and it's an old African word,
Proverb.
or Ubuntu. I am because we are. And so there is no such thing as my wife winning while I lose, or me winning while she loses. There is no such thing as, well, that's her problem. Because whatever her problem is also my problem. And vice versa. Whatever she sees it the same way. Whenever I have a problem, she takes it personal as her problem as well. And so there's a harmonic balance that we always fight for. And that's really the only way that couples can win, is if we win together. Because if I'm winning but she's losing, then I also lose. So again, I mean, that in a nutshell, that's really what it is. I mean, that you have to be on the same page with wanting as much for your spouse as you want for yourself.
Okay.
Anything less is just selfish. You can't win like that.
Absolutely. As we're continuing to talk with Vaughn Jackson here on the Unstoppable Story Show, we're following his journey from where he was before he got into his relationship to where he is now as the relationship expert, coach, author, and he's got some phenomenal live events coming up over the next couple of months that we're definitely going to share with you towards the end of the show. So definitely you want to stick and stay. You want to get your favorite pen or writing utensil out so you can get this information down, so you can see Vaughn Jackson and his crew live and in person. I want to shout out real quickly to your lovely wife, Desiree, who you guys are doing this thing together. Yes. And I want to segue, when we talk about that, into, even though you have relationships kind of tend to get murky when you start working together, doing the same type of thing, building a business, building an empire. So how is it that you guys are able to work on these upcoming projects that you're working on together, as well as how do you feel about her supporting you as the relationship expert?
It really is a beautiful thing, and there's this concept called complementarity. And where I'm weak, she's strong, and where I'm strong, wherever she falls short, I'm strong. And so it just so happens that I don't mind being out front and being the voice, and she doesn't want any part of being out front and being the voice. But she is. I've never seen anybody outwork my wife, and so anything that you see me being successful in, she has a great deal to do with that. I mean, as a support system, I couldn't ask for anything better. And so there's a nice ebb and flow. There's a beautiful exchange and synergy between us, because we don't want the same things. I mean, we want the same ultimate outcome, but as far as what our roles are in bringing the outcome to fruition, it just falls into place.
So is that something that you guys had to work to get to, or did you naturally find that ebb and flow, that yin to the yang from the very beginning?
That's a great question, and I think it was work, but it was work mostly because of the conditioning that I had. You know, I had this idea early on that I'm smarter than she is, and I have to run everything. Everything has to be at, you know, because I said it goes this way. And in that ideology, I was overlooking her strengths. I wouldn't let her be great, as the young folks say today. And so what I had to do was take a step back and just observe that there were some things that she was naturally more gifted at than me. And there are some things that I'm naturally more gifted at than she is. And so I felt like it was my responsibility to be observant of those things and not only recognize those things, but make way for her to shine in her gifts. And so, I don't know, essentially, I just had to get out of the way and let her do what she was good at. And so, yeah, that's it, man. I mean, it took a little bit of work, it took a little bit of time, but mainly because I had some very stubborn ways.
And I think that's a good point, because I don't want anyone who's watching the show and who's thinking that relationships are easy to think that, even in your case, that it was something that was just easy, that it was just natural, that you didn't have to put in, and the word that you said is the word I was looking for, work.
Yeah,
because you know, I haven't been married for 29 years, but we'll be married. Me and my lovely wife Sharon we'll be married for 17 years next month. So we right there on your heels. We breaking down the door. Yeah. But a lot of what I learned came later in life, and the one thing that I learned that I share with the married couples that we have the opportunity to talk to is not to focus on the day, because the day is just the beginning. See, marriage is a noun and married is a verb for a reason. The marriage is a point in time. The marriage is the thing, but the thing that keeps it working and keeps the thing alive is the married part, the work that goes into being married, so that you can continue to say you have a marriage. And a lot of folks don't get that when they say I do and start doing the planning for that perfect day. Do you see that in some of the relationships that you encounter as well?
Absolutely, man. And you know, we get so many people get caught up into this idea that I love you is based on how I feel, and everybody's in love on wedding day.
Absolutely,
everybody's in love on wedding day. But if those feelings were enough, the divorce rate wouldn't be 50%. And so what we have to do is change the way we think about what it means to love whoever we're in a relationship with. And so one of the things I like to say is I don't love my wife just based on how I feel. I love my wife based on the way love feels good to her. And so based on whatever her needs are, I love her according to that. And she does the same for me. And so, in other words, if I had this idea that, oh man, on Valentine's Day, I'm going to get my wife some roses and some chocolates. And that sounds really romantic, unless your wife hates chocolate and she hates flowers.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe my wife just wants a simple card and a kiss on the cheek. And if that's how she desires to be loved, then my obligation is to love her accordingly. See? And so what happens is we, in our relationships, and even outside of our relationships, we have these actions in our lives, and actions create habits. Repeated actions create habits, and these habits form a culture. And so what is the culture in your marriage? Do you have the type of cultural climate where it's normal and customary to solve problems? Or do you do like I did early in my marriage, where we walk around for 7 days and we don't say one word to each other? See, you have to decide what it is that you want for your outcome, and then you act in congruence with the desired outcome. So actions form habits, habits create the culture, and then you have to decide what type of cultural climate you want in your relationship.
Oh man, that's a great nugget. Somebody needs to write that down. Actions form habits, and habits form the culture. And recognizing that everything he just said wasn't something that happened overnight. It's something that happens over many, many nights. And in 29 years, I'm sure there's been many nights where you didn't always get it right, or your wife didn't always get it right, or collectively, y'all didn't always get it right, right?
That's right. That's right. She her batting average is much higher than mine. I gotta say, she has consistently performed better than me. But I, I've done well. Ultimately, I done well. But yeah, early on it was rough.
So you know what, you mentioned you touched on it before we went to the next segment, talking about the number of years you've been married, and it's just phenomenal when you look at the statistics, because Vaughn, the statistics in the U.S., the average marriage only lasts 7 years. 7 years in the US. And when you look at it, when you take the average of marriages around the world, it only goes up a little bit higher to 12-13%. 12-13 years of marriage average around the world. Why do you think that average is so low?
Well, because this idea of romantic marriage is a very recent phenomenon. So 100 years ago, we were marrying because there was property, there were joint ventures, there were families merging based on power. But Hollywood has created this idea that we're going to get married based on how you make me feel, and so we're not married to the idea of we're not committed to the idea of what this marriage does for family and legacy and community. We're married now based on how you make me feel. And the moment you can no longer make me feel good, I want out. See, and this is what a lot of people are doing now. And it's just, first of all, it's a fool's game to think that, just because you feel strong, that's enough to sustain a marriage. There are many other components. But it's really, people say marriage is hard work. And what I learned, man, it is not hard work, it's heart work.
We never let a nugget like that slide right on through the conversation. So we're gonna roll it back right back. And somebody's gonna grab the pen, somebody's gonna rewind this video, because that's something that's important. So you said marriage is not hard work, it's heart work, right?
Yeah.
Well, break that down so that it will forever be broken, my brother.
So when you go back to the question that you asked me about what unstoppable means to me, and I said it ain't over until I win, right? So any coward can quit, right? But it takes heart, the intangible. Like when you're watching professional sports, you always hear the announcers or the commentators talk about how much heart this person has. Well, you can't literally see how much their heart is beating. You can't see that his heart is stronger than the other person's heart, but you can tell when there's no quit in a person. And so we have this narrative in our marriage where if you just picture us in a picture frame, or you and your wife in a picture frame, and that picture frame, the edges of that picture frame represent the boundaries of your marriage. And so in our marriage, we have a no way out clause. The only way it's almost like a gang, right? We came in this thing alive, but the only way we're leaving is dead. Now, here's the thing: we're not talking about sustaining. Yeah, nobody's getting harmed, or nobody's physically, verbally. We're not abusing each other on any level whatsoever. But what that does is it creates a narrative, or a framing, if you will, for this. If we're saying that there's no way out, then that means the only way out is through. And so with that framing, any problem that we have, if we're saying, like a lot of couples are saying, you know what, if this doesn't work, then plan B is we'll just get a divorce, we'll split 50-50, and we're on our way. But we're saying, no, whatever problem comes our way, we're going to stay in this thing. We're 10 toes down, and we're going to fight. We're going to fight no matter what the problem is.
I think that's a good way to put it, because too many people, especially in the day and age that we live in right now, we're in this age of instant gratification. And if we can't have it right now, then we're not going to have it at all. Or if it takes time, or if it takes too much attention to make it happen, then it's not worth it. But people have to realize that, anything worth having is worth working for. That's what they said. And if you're not willing to put in the work, then you're not willing to have the fruits of the work that you put into it. So I love how you guys have established that no way out clause. And especially in this day and age, when people look at marriage more as a contract than they do as a covenant. You know what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? So you have taken that contract analogy and put that special clause into the contract that says no matter what, ain't no way out. I love it. That's great. So when you share that with your clients, or when you share that with the other couples, how do they react to that no way out clause?
I think that for the most part, it just the same way it resonated with you. There are some people that it resonates with, but the truth of the matter is we don't all get married for the right reasons. And some people literally are getting married just for the way that person made them feel prior to their wedding day. And then at the first sign of trouble, they're out of it. But what makes me feel good is, especially like when you just told me your story, you've been married now for, you say 22 years?
17
years. And there are a lot of couples that are out here winning, and I mean winning every single day, but they're not winning because they're doing extraordinary things. They're winning because they do ordinary things more consistently than everybody else. And so there are people out here who are looking for this big bang, like it's supposed to be something dramatic, and there's all this flair. No, man, it's just ordinary things that we do consistently. A guy asked me, like, man, you and your wife have been together for 29 years and you still hold hands. How is it that you still holding hands with your wife? I say, man, I just grab her hand. And that's it. There's nothing special about it. I mean, there's nothing dramatic about it or major to it. If we're walking, my wife likes for me to hold her hand when we're walking together. So I just grab her hand and we walk. And it looks cute to everybody else that's looking from the outside in. Oh man, it's so special. How you did this when you were dating. Just because you got married doesn't mean that all of the sweetie pie stuff has to stop, man. You still gotta court each other. You still gotta wine and dine each other and make each other feel good and special. I mean, those are some of the basic things. These things are very ordinary things that we just get complacent with in our marriage. And so, we've decided that we won't get complacent.
And I love it. I love it. You guys, we are hanging out with Vaun Jackson. He is the Love Alchemist, our relationship expert here on the Unstoppable Story Show. Let's take a couple of seconds, look at some of the comments. We got some viewers watching. And you know what? Why not start out with the queen herself? Desiree Jackson is saying it's not hard work, it's heart work. Absolutely. We know she likes to be behind the scenes, but I would love to get her take on what that phrase means to her. So maybe, Desiree, if you just put in the comments what that phrase means to you, and then we'll share it on the screen. And of course, I can't let the episode about relationships go by without talking and letting my boo, my sweetheart, have some of the time on here. She's saying marriage is not hard work, it's heart work as well. Right. And we definitely have gone through the hard work and the heart work. So we definitely can understand what you are talking about with that. But let's segue just a bit, Vaun. Let's make a little right turn, because it's one thing to have your military buddies ask you about your relationship. It's one thing to have the other couples that you hang out with talk about relationships and you share advice and information with them. But it's another thing to take the next level of that platform and put your shingle out saying that you are a relationship expert and the Love Alchemist. So what was that defining moment that let you know that you could play on a bigger field with this relationship advice, expert opinions that you give?
it's always humbling for me to hear people say that I'm a relationship expert. Um, I don't I don't typically say that about myself because I know that every relationship is very different, and so all I can do is master my own relationship, and I've done that very well. I've mastered mine, but what I do is I help other people master their relationship, and that's why my book is called 31 Days to Mastering Your Relationship. And so I give some very key guidelines on how to do that. But what ended up propelling me towards what I'm doing now is that so many people kept telling me, man, you need to speak to more people. More people need to hear what you have to say. And I would have men that were older than me asking me to be their mentor for their relationship, for their marriage. And so as people came to me more and more and encouraged me to go to pursue a bigger platform to share what it is that I have to offer, I felt like it was inevitable. I felt like I really had very little choice. As I said before, I was paying it forward. I mean, uh, I don't believe marriage is my marriage is a gift, and we have been divinely blessed. And I could ride off into the sunset and say, hey, you know what, your relationship is going through troubles. That's your problem. But I can't, you know. And when I see other people struggling with something that it feels like I could so easily provide them some sort of relief from, I, I can't. My heart is wired towards pouring into that, and so that's it.
I love it. And we're going to take a second to, I don't have a copy of your book, but I do have a screenshot. So let's see.
There it
Let's
is.
look at the screen and see if we can get that up there. So the book you said is called, talk about the book again.
It's called 31 Days to Mastering Your Relationship.
And
It's
so,
the heart work book. And so if you look, you see that's a measuring cup pouring in the ingredients into the heart. And those ingredients are intimacy, communication, complementarity, trust, compromise, understanding, respect, thoughtfulness, affection, and compassion. And the if you pour these ingredients into your relationship, there is absolutely no way that you can lose. And so in the book, I give some, my wife and I wrote that together. So in the book, we give some very key strategies and some workups that couples can easily follow along. And again, 31 days to mastering your relationship. There are a lot of couples out here who cannot afford marriage counseling. And so we wrote this book with that thought in mind. And so the aim was to provide essentially marriage counseling in a binder. And
and
so,
I, yeah, fabulous. And the 31 days, that again, that goes back to what you said earlier. If you take action in 31 days of action, then that action will hopefully turn into a habit, and then those habits will turn into the culture. So I love how that you created that. That was a phenomenal ideal, because it's something that now you can repeat every 31 days. There's something new that you can discover in your relationship, about your relationship, each and every day. If you can't discover 31 things about your relationship, then you haven't really been putting in the work. So, and then there's the book right there for you. If you can't discover it, then use the book to put in the work. If you can discover it, then use the book to continue to refresh and remind you about the relationship that you're already in, so that you can keep taking those actions that turn into habits, that turn into culture. Phenomenal. Where can they get the book?
you can get the book at www.theconditionsoflove.com. Theconditionsoflove.com.
So condition, not with an S, just condition.
The conditions, plural.
Okay.
Conditionsoflove.com.
All right, we're going to put that up on the screen for a second. And as we put that up, I want you to just give us, as a relationship expert, if you could give one piece of advice as we continue to go through Family Month here in the month of June on the Unstoppable Story Show, what one piece of advice would you give to any family that is looking to be an unstoppable family going forward?
You know, I think everybody wants to be understood. Everybody wants to be heard. But one thing I had to learn to do was to seek first to understand and second to be understood. And so anytime we have any type of conflict, my first and foremost goal is to understand where my wife is coming from. And I think she operates with the same idea. And so we're always looking to understand where the other person is coming from. That doesn't mean that we're always going to agree, but I can at least understand where she's coming from and then acknowledge that her feelings or her thoughts on whatever the situation is, her thoughts and feelings are valid, even if I might disagree. And so, again, I say seek first to understand and second to be understood.
And that is a powerful, powerful message, you guys, as we continue to talk and chop it up with my man, Vaughn Jackson, the Love Alchemist. I just love how that flows. The Love Alchemist and the relationship expert on the Unstoppable Story Show. We've talked about his relationship expertise. We've talked about his fabulous relationship with his beautiful bride. And you know, I love how she puts her name on Facebook, Desiree Sun Kissed Jackson. And I'm pretty sure Vaughn has something to do with the sun kissing Desiree on a daily basis. So shout out to you, brother. Keep the sunshine in her life. But you're not just a love expert. You are also an author, and you are also a speaker with the powerful group that I'm so honored to be a part of, called the Black Belt Speaker Group. And you wrote when one of the collaborations of the Live Your Best Life series, correct?
No, I missed I missed out on that one, so I wasn't able to be a part of the Live Your Best Life series.
Okay, but even more importantly, you were able to be a part of one of their live events. So talk to us a little bit about the upcoming Live Your Best Life event that you have coming up right in the state of Georgia, right?
Yes. So Friday, June 21st and June 22nd, we have a 2-day Live Your Best Life conference right here in sunny South Georgia in Savannah. It's going to be a phenomenal event. We have several very powerful speakers. We have Betty Speaks, Nana Pfeiffer, Eulene Chandler, and Corey Briggs. And then we also have a spoken word artist, Hope Flows. She's a local talent, very powerful woman. And Friday is going to be a networking mixer where we're just getting together and networking. Like George Fraser always says, your network determines your net worth.
Absolutely.
So, networking is a powerful, often overlooked, but very powerful tool. And so Friday night, that Friday afternoon, 5 to 9 p.m. is going to be the networking mixer. And then Saturday from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. is going to be a powerful day of exchanging. We're going to be talking about next level living, mental performance, influential leadership, new beginnings, the power of self-forgiveness. And you know, I'm talking about relationship transformation. So it's going to be a very powerful event, and I can't wait.
I love it. So give them a sneak peek. How can relationship transformation help a person live their best life, Vaughn?
Oh man, now you're asking me to give away the.
Yeah, I gotta have you. You can't come on the Unstoppable show and not give us little something, just a little.
Here's the thing. You know, no matter where you go, people always want more of something in their life, and you can find people who are rich beyond measure, and they have enough money to buy anything that their heart desires. And sometimes you see these people and they're miserable. So the answer isn't money. And then when you look at people who have a fraction of the financial wherewithal that these wealthy people have, some of these people are poor as far as wealth goes, material wealth goes, but they have what seems like an endless level of happiness in their lives. And I attribute that happiness to how well they're doing in their intimate relationships. And their relationship isn't always the most intimate relationship. Sometimes it's the familial relationships. And psychologists have theorized that, or estimated that, as much as 95% of your overall happiness can be attributed to how well you're doing in your intimate and personal relationships.
Yeah.
And there is no relationship more important, more personal, and more intimate than the one you have with yourself. And so when we talk about relationship transformation, it's from the inside out.
It's an inside game. Absolutely. So that's some great stuff. And I know people who are watching this, whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, are going to want to be in the place. So let's recap that. That's the Live Your Best Life Conference, June 21st, 22nd in the beautiful city of Savannah, Georgia. I had the opportunity to be there many, many years ago, and there was nothing like that Southern hospitality down in Savannah. So how can they get information about the event, to how they can get tickets, find out about the hotels?
There is a, oh man, I forget the actual website, I think, but there is, if you go to Facebook and type in Live Your Best Life Conference, it'll take you right to the page, and there's a bit.ly website and an event page on Facebook. So you can't miss it. If you go to Facebook and type in Live Your Best Life Conference Savannah, it'll take you right there, and you should be able to get right in.
Absolutely. And we've got the bit.ly link going across the screen right now. Go to bit.ly/Live Your Best Life Now, LYBL Now 2019 SAV. So that's Live Your Best Life Now 2019 Savannah. So go on over to bit.ly LYBL Now 2019 Save, and you can get more information about this phenomenal event that the Love Alchemist is going to be a part of in just a couple of weeks now. So that's going to be out of sight. But wait, there's more. That's not just it, because not shortly after that, on the heels of this event that you have in June, you and your wife are going to be doing your own phenomenal event, right?
Yes, we have the Ties That Bind Couples Retreat at Serve and Be Served. It's going to be in Callaway Gardens, right outside of Atlanta, Georgia. We partnered up with a couple that we met when we were just 19 years old. They were 19, we were 19. And this was on my first tour in the Navy. I met this guy, he and his wife, and we've been friends ever since. And so we've experienced some of this, some very similar observations with couples, and we decided to bring this couples retreat in an effort to help empower couples to strengthen their relationships. So this is going to be a phenomenal event. And we're bringing over 60 years of marital and relationship experience. And we're going to have a good time, man. We're going to have a good time and learn.
So now, is your event going to be, because, you know, when I hear the word conference, I think one thing, but when I hear the word retreat, I think of something completely different. So is this going to be an intimate affair? Is this going to be a distinct number of people, not too many people, just enough for the atmosphere to be charged with the ties that bind?
Yes, we're going to limit the amount of couples that can come in, so that we can properly serve. You know, it doesn't make sense to have so many couples that you can't touch everybody. We want this to be a very intimate setting where we can share both on an individual as well as a collective level. And it's exactly as you said. So yes.
And have you started putting out information about that, or is that something that you're going to start doing later?
Yes, we've already started putting out. I mean, the website. Wife Desiree, can you please go ahead and drop the link in the chat, please, in the feed? I think it's tiesthatbind.info.
Oh, dude, I already got you covered. There you go. Bam.
In the game. Save. That's the second save already. I appreciate you.
Nah, hey, that's what we do. Yes, go to the tiesthatbind.info. It is a beautiful page already. Let me see if I can pull up the page real quick, because I looked at it and I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's filling up fast too, man. So
let's see. Let's pull it up. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're excited about it, and looking forward to a good time. This is something that I think that we're going to do at least once a year. But I would love to get it in. If we can get more than that, do 2 of them a year.
Uh-huh.
Man, I'm all for it. As many couples' lives as we can positively impact, constructively impact, I'm down for it. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at as you look at the page right now, and the two shall become one, serve and be served. That's a phenomenal ideal. If we could keep that going on, then yeah, we could save a lot of marriages. And as we look at marriage, look at that couple right there, Vaun and Desiree. Oh, everybody in the chat room say, oh. just looking as cute as they want to be. Yeah, man. This looks like it's gonna be a great event. So definitely, you guys check out all the things that Vaun has going on. The Live Your Best Life event coming up in June. The Ties That Bind event coming up in October. Man, you are doing it really, really, really big, and I'm just proud of what you're doing. So as we come down to the end of it, again, I thank you so much for coming on the Unstoppable Story Show, sharing your unstoppable story about love and relationships, dropping the nuggets with us as only you can. But I'm going to give you an opportunity, because maybe someone can't make the event in Savannah. Maybe someone can't make the event in October, but they do want to have a conversation with the Love Alchemist. So how can they get in contact with you if they want to have a deeper relationship, or they just want to check out some of your services?
Yeah, you can, of course, you can always follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Vaun_says, like Simon says. I'm just a little bit better than Simon. So you can follow me at Vaun_says on Instagram and Twitter. You can also connect with me on Facebook. If you want to get a little bit more personal, you can email me at info@theconditionsoflove.com. Info@theconditionsoflove.com. And we have some exciting events coming up. We have a cruise that we're putting together, a couples cruise that we're putting together for next April. We're going to be going to Jamaica. So save up your twos and fews and get ready for that, because that's going to be another one. So
yeah. That sounds like a great day and a great month, April. Yeah, some fabulous host I know was born in that month. So yeah, we might have to talk offline about that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So and we have a couple other books. I mean, I know we're running down on time, but my wife and I put together. We have a children's book coming out. We're finishing up the editing and on that right now, and also another couples book coming out. The first one was more geared toward counseling. The second one is coming out is going to be more geared toward fun and helping couples, enjoy their relationship a good bit more. And then we have another one coming out late summer. So we got some things cooking, man. We're doing what we can.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm definitely offline. I'm going to have to connect you with this other couple that I helped write their relationship book a couple of years ago. This was one of the things from the Unstoppable Publishing diaries, where we helped this extraordinary everyday marriage duo create their first book called Do You Love Me Still? So
what's the author's
name? Sean and Dorian Nash. Sean and a lovely couple here. And the book was basically how they made it through their first 7 years of marriage and beyond. And like you and Desiree, they are definitely looking to help people increase their relationships, continue to put in the work, and to show people that if you do it extraordinarily every day, then you can be a dynamic duo as a couple as well. So I'll give you their information and connect you with them as well. And maybe, there's a future collaboration with you guys as well.
Outstanding.
So here's what I want you to do, because I want you, I'm going to put you back down in the green room, the Unstoppable Story green room. We got some drinks down there. We got some snacks down there. Brother ain't ate yet, so just don't eat up everything yet, okay? But Vaughn, I appreciate you for coming on the show. Congratulations to you and your lovely wife on all your years of marriage, all your success that you have coming forward. And you always have a seat here on the Unstoppable Story show when those other projects come out and you want to share them with us. So I appreciate you, and thank you, my BBS brother, for doing what you do in your own little way to help couples continue to be unstoppable.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. That is Vaughn Jackson. Go ahead and check him out on Facebook, Instagram at Vaun_Says, Facebook Vaun Says, and you can check him out. He also has another page on Facebook called the Marriage Society. Booed up. You got to check out that page. That is phenomenal as well. But again, we'll put all the information in the comments on how you can get in contact with him. Arlene Collins says, great couple. I enjoyed them on the show. Yes, indeed. Yes, they did a great job. Desiree, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Let's see. When we showed the picture of Desiree and Vaughn, Kokisha LaShawn said, oh, yes, weren't they a cute couple? Absolutely. Let's see. Go get some real other comments real quick. So Vaughn and Desiree, they've connected to the resources and not the source. Absolutely. Great comments as usual. And we thank you guys for commenting. We thank you guys for coming in on the Unstoppable Story show each and every week. We can't do it without you. You make this show possible. And we definitely invite you to come back each and every week on the Unstoppable Story show, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. And maybe you saw something or heard something on this show that you loved and it inspired you, and maybe it has helped you to just make it through the rest of this week, knowing that you're going to put in some work in your relationship. If it's not a marriage, maybe it's a relationship that just started. Maybe it's a relationship that you've been looking to take to the next level, but you just needed to know how to do that. Well, hopefully we blessed you. Hopefully Vaughn gave you some insight, and hopefully something said or heard on the show was a blessing to you. And if it was, why not consider donating to the Unstoppable Story show? Your funds go towards helping to keep this broadcast up and running, and it keeps us bringing quality guests onto the show, sharing their unstoppable stories. Any amount would be appreciated, because as you guys know, even though I'm unstoppable, there are financial things that can stop the show from going to the levels that it needs to go. But we want you to be a part of our unstoppable tribe. So once you consider a donation in any size, just simply go into paypal.me/unstoppable stories. paypal.me/unstoppable coaching. And we appreciate you, and we thank you in advance for your donation. And hey, if you like this show, why don't you go back and watch all the past episodes of the Unstoppable Story Show? Just go on over to our Unstoppable Story Show fan page on Facebook, bit.ly/unstoppable stories, and you can watch past episodes with all these phenomenal guests on the Unstoppable Story Show. And guess what? Maybe, just maybe, you may want to be a guest on the Unstoppable Story Show and share your unstoppable stories with our audience as well. Well, that's possible too. Simply email us your unstoppable story to info@unstoppablecoaching.com. info@unstoppablecoaching.com. And who knows, maybe you too will be the next guest on the Unstoppable Story Show, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. And until next time, it's imparting what I always say: wherever you are, in the world today, don't just make it a great day, make it an unstoppable day. We'll see you next week.